Hello and welcome. Welcome to this space. I'm really glad you're here today. If you're listening right now, maybe you're alone. Maybe physically, maybe emotionally, or maybe you're surrounded by people, but still feel a quiet kind of loneliness inside. And if that's the case, I want you to know something before we begin. There is nothing wrong with you. Today, we're going to talk about how to be happy alone. Not how to survive alone. Not how to distract yourself until someone else comes into your life. But how to actually feel calm, full, and emotionally safe with yourself. This is not a motivational speech. This is not about forcing positivity. And it's definitely not about pretending that loneliness doesn't hurt sometimes. This is a gentle conversation about learning how to sit with yourself without feeling empty, bored, or incomplete. So take a breath. You don't need to fix anything right now. You don't need to become a better version of yourself by the end of this episode. You're allowed to just listen. Let's start with something very honest. Most people are not afraid of being alone. They are afraid of what they feel when they are alone. When there is no noise, no messages, no one watching, no one expecting something from us. We finally hear our own thoughts. And for many people, that silence feels uncomfortable. Sometimes it feels heavy. Sometimes it feels like a reminder of things we haven't healed yet. So instead of learning how to be happy alone, many of us learn how to avoid being alone. We keep the TV on. We scroll endlessly. We stay in relationships that don't feel right. We answer messages we don't really want to answer. Not because we love connection so much, but because we're scared of stillness. But happiness alone doesn't start with filling the silence. It starts with understanding it. Being alone shows you who you are when there is no audience. And that can feel scary, especially if you've spent a long time defining yourself through other people. So let's talk about that. Many of us were taught, directly or indirectly, that happiness comes from outside. From love, approval, success, attention. And while those things can add to our lives, they were never meant to be the foundation of our emotional world. When you depend on other people to feel whole, being alone feels like a loss. But when you learn to be emotionally present with yourself, being alone feels like rest. There is a huge difference between loneliness and solitude. Loneliness feels like lack. Solitude feels like space. Loneliness says, I am missing something. Solitude says, I am with myself. And the truth is, you can be physically alone and emotionally full. Or you can be surrounded by people and still feel deeply lonely. So the real question is not, am I alone? The real question is, how is my relationship with myself? Because happiness alone is not about isolation. It's about self-connection. Let's talk about the inner voice. When you are alone, the loudest voice in the room is usually your own. And for many people, that voice is not kind. It criticizes. It reminds you of mistakes. It compares you to others. It asks uncomfortable questions. So of course, being alone doesn't feel good when the voice inside feels like an enemy. One of the most important steps toward being happy alone is learning how to change your inner relationship. Not by forcing positive thoughts, but by softening your tone. Instead of asking, why am I like this? Try asking, what do I need right now? Instead of saying, I should be happier, try saying, it's okay that this feels hard. Happiness alone doesn't come from confidence. It comes from safety. Feeling emotionally safe with yourself means you don't abandon yourself when things feel uncomfortable. You stay, you listen, you allow. Now let's talk about time. When you're alone, time feels different. Sometimes it feels slow. Sometimes it feels empty. And many people confuse boredom with unhappiness. But boredom is not a problem. Boredom is an invitation. It's an invitation to discover what actually brings you peace, not just stimulation. When you're constantly busy or entertained, you never learn what your nervous system needs to feel calm. You never learn what kind of rhythm feels natural to you. Being alone gives you that chance. At first, it might feel strange. You might feel restless. You might reach for your phone without even thinking. That's normal. That's habit, not truth. If you stay a little longer, something interesting happens. Your mind slows down. Your body relaxes. Your attention comes back to the present moment. And in that space, you start to notice small things. The way light moves in the room. The sound of your breath. The fact that you're okay right now. Happiness alone often looks very quiet. It's not excitement. It's not constant joy. It's contentment. And contentment doesn't shout. It whispers. Another important part of being happy alone is letting go of comparison. When you're alone, social media can feel especially heavy. You see people together, smiling, traveling, building lives that look full, and without meaning to, you start to measure your life against theirs. But comparison steals presence. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not failing because your life looks different. Everyone has seasons of connection and seasons of solitude. And solitude is not a punishment. It's a phase that often comes before deep growth. Some of the most emotionally strong people learned how to sit alone with themselves first. Now let's talk about routines. Being happy alone doesn't mean doing nothing. It means creating a life that feels gentle and intentional. Small routines can create a sense of grounding. A morning coffee, a walk, writing a few lines before bed, cooking something just for yourself. When you do things only for you, without sharing them online, without waiting for validation, something shifts. You start to feel ownership over your life. And that builds quiet confidence. There is also something very powerful about learning how to enjoy your own company. Not tolerate it. Enjoy it. That might mean listening to podcasts like this one, or music, or silence. It might mean talking to yourself in a kind way, laughing at your own thoughts, letting yourself be imperfect without anyone watching. You don't need to be interesting when you're alone. You don't need to perform. You get to just be, and that is where real happiness begins. Not in having everything figured out, not in being surrounded by people all the time, but in feeling at home inside yourself. When you are alone, you begin to notice how often you judge yourself, how quickly you label your feelings as wrong or inconvenient. Happiness alone starts when you stop fighting your inner world and start allowing it to exist as it is. There is a quiet strength in being able to sit with discomfort without running away from it. When sadness shows up, you don't immediately distract yourself. When boredom appears, you don't panic. You let the moment pass through you instead of trying to escape it. This doesn't mean you enjoy every moment of being alone. It means you trust yourself enough to handle whatever comes up. Many people believe that being happy alone means becoming emotionally independent in a cold way, like you no longer need anyone. But that's not what this is about. Being happy alone doesn't mean rejecting connection. It means not using connection to avoid yourself. When you're comfortable alone, relationships become a choice, not a need. You don't stay because you're afraid of emptiness. You stay because the connection feels real, safe, and mutual. And that changes everything. Another important part of learning how to be happy alone is learning how to listen to your body. When you slow down, your body starts to speak more clearly. You notice when you're tired, when you're overwhelmed, when you need rest instead of productivity. So many people feel unhappy alone because they treat alone time like wasted time. They feel guilty for resting, guilty for not being productive, guilty for not doing more. But rest is not laziness. Rest is regulation. Your nervous system needs moments of quiet to feel balanced. And when you allow yourself that space, your emotions soften, your thoughts slow down, and being alone stops feeling like a problem to solve. There's also something deeply healing about choosing yourself in small ways. Cooking a meal just because you deserve it. cleaning your space because you like how it feels. Going to bed early because your body needs it. These acts might seem small, but they build trust with yourself. They send a message that says, I care about you. And when you feel cared for by yourself, loneliness loses its power. Let's talk about identity for a moment. Many people feel lost when they are alone because their identity has been shaped around others, being someone's partner, someone's friend, someone's support system. When those roles are quiet, the question appears, who am I without them? That question can feel scary, but it's also an opportunity. Being alone gives you space to explore who you are when no one is watching, what you enjoy, what you believe, what matters to you when there is no pressure to perform. You don't have to figure this out all at once. You don't need a clear answer. You just need curiosity, happiness. Alone grows when you allow yourself to be a work in progress without judgment. There will be days when being alone feels peaceful, and there will be days when it feels heavy. Both are part of the experience. The goal is not to eliminate discomfort. The goal is to stop fearing it. Because once you stop fearing being alone, you stop abandoning yourself. And something very gentle happens. You start to trust your own presence. You realize that you can handle quiet. You can handle emotions. You can handle your own company. And that realization brings a kind of calm that no external validation can give you. Being happy alone also means learning how to enjoy simple pleasures without needing to share them immediately. A song, a thought, a moment of peace. You don't need to post it. You don't need to explain it. Some moments are just for you, and that doesn't make them less meaningful. It makes them more personal. As you spend more time with yourself, you may notice that your standards change. You become more selective with your energy. You stop forcing connections that drain you. You stop saying yes just to avoid being alone. And that is a sign of growth. Because when you value your own company, you protect it. You don't rush into noise just to escape silence. You choose what adds value to your life. Being happy alone doesn't make you distant. It makes you grounded. It doesn't make you less loving. It makes your love more intentional. And over time, solitude becomes something you respect instead of something you fear. Now let's talk about acceptance. Some days, happiness alone is simply accepting where you are without trying to change it. Accepting that you're still learning, accepting that you're still healing. You don't need to rush yourself. Life is not a race toward happiness. It's a relationship with the present moment. And in this moment, right now, you are allowed to be exactly as you are. Before we close, I want to remind you of something important. You are not incomplete because you are alone. You are not waiting for your life to begin. Your life is already happening. And learning how to be happy alone is not about becoming someone else. It's about returning to yourself. Thank you for spending this time with me. Thank you for listening, for being open, and for allowing yourself this moment of reflection. If this episode resonated with you, I'd really appreciate it if you liked the video, left a comment sharing your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel for more conversations like this. Your support helps this space grow and reach more people who might need to hear these words. Until next time, be gentle with yourself. Take things slowly and remember, you are enough, even in your own company.